Forget what you learned in school. Never mind what your parents told you, and disregard what your friends say. From now on, the only people you need to listen to are these guys. For the next several minutes, they'll take you on a journey through the political jungle. And when your journey is over and you're safe at home, they promise you'll be stronger, smarter, and just plain better. So buckle up, hang on to your ears, because your journey starts now. Welcome, everyone, to the political talk show, At Odds. My name's Brian.
My name is Nate.
And we're glad you're joining us today. We're kind of a little unusual political talk show. I hope we are a little unusual. I tend to be a little bit more moderate, middle of the road. I tend to use logic and philosophy and science to make my decisions, where Nate just goes on a political conservative rant. Every young man should be a conservative when they're young and learn to become more moderate and liberal as they get older. Right, Nate?
Yeah, I don't know. I think you might have that a little backwards. Definitely backwards from reality, but, you know.
What,
you're in your own world, so.
Well, wait a minute. You think people become more oh, yeah, I do have it backwards.
You have it backwards. Everybody's a liberal when they're young, yeah. And then usually, they get older and wiser.
So I'm the one that's wrong.
You are wrong.
Well, I'm out of here. I'm done.
That was a short-lived show.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
I'm converted. Well, today we're going to talk a little bit about the unemployment and some of the numbers, what they really mean, how they're being manipulated as a political tool. Of course, that ties into the debate. We'll talk a little bit about the debate. Maybe about the government's role in capitalism. What is that role? Does it belong in the free market? And Nate likes to talk a little bit about the 47% comment that Romney made. Does that hurting, helping? Should he have apologized like he did, or should he have stuck to his guns? And my favorite topic, the TSA, the Transportation Safety Authority, and how they're abusing their powers and some of the things they're doing now in preparing us to be sheep and trying to lead into the ever-growing police state of the federal government. So those are some of the topics we'll talk about today. Nate, you take off.
Let's start with the TSA.
Oh, great. Now I got to cue it all up. I was all ready for that in the end.
Oh, sorry about that.
Well, you know what they're kind of doing? I mean, they're, under the guise of Homeland Security, and they're trying to, protect us and all that crap, but it's really just an excuse to try to infringe upon our rights and get us used to a police state. But one of the things that kind of made me upset, if I can find it here.
Is it that story about the stop and freeze?
Well, that's part of it.
That just came out a couple weeks ago, I think, where they're running drills where they just yell freeze and expect everybody to just stop.
Yeah, there was a video, where they're just as the people are walking in and already been checked in, they're already in a secure area, and the agents just yell out freeze, and they want to see how people comply, and of course everybody like sheep does freeze, and then they just wait a few seconds and they go, all right, carry on, and they're just testing their powers and getting us ready to walk aboard the freight trains.
It's conditioning. It's conditioning partly too, I think. Getting people used to just listening to authority figures and the government and do what they say, and if they can get mass crowds of people to freeze when they say the word freeze, I mean, what else is that going to lead to? I'm
still trying to find this article. I just can't believe it was right here.
I really messed you up, didn't I?
You did.
Yeah, sorry about that. You expected to have like 20 minutes to search around on your computer.
Yeah, well, I found it now. So anyways,
okay.
The thing goes, this guy named Nick, who was a double major in physics and Middle Eastern studies, and he'd been learning Arabic since his freshman year. He arrived at the security checkpoint with a single piece of carry-on luggage in which he had a stereo speaker. As he approached the X-ray machine, the TSA officer asked him, hey, what do you have in the bag? And Nick truthfully replied, this is what I have. And the officer asked him to step aside for secondary screening. Good old Nick complied, and his speakers were X-rayed separately and his cell phone swabbed twice to test for explosive all with negative results. And at this point, he should have been free to board his plane, but he wasn't. And they detained him for quite a while. They searched him, and for no other reason than, he learned to speak Arabic. Now, I don't know what threat he might have had, but unfortunately, where are we going to stop on this kind of stuff? How far are they going to go?
Yeah, and
they found nothing wrong.
It's going to go as far as we let it go.
That's just
that's
it.
The issue.
Yeah, I think that's just it.
We let them have the power, and we haven't done much to take it back. I've heard of some stories of people giving them a little trouble and not complying with searches and things. But if you're going to do that, you better have a lot of time and maybe a lawyer.
Yeah, and there are people that are standing up to this and fighting. There's the guy that stripped down to his underwear. Another guy stripped down to where he was totally naked, to show that he wasn't a threat in any way. And there are people that are fighting back, but we really need more and more. And what I hate is that people say, well, it's just the price we pay in today's society. We just have to do these kinds of things because that's just the way it is. But, like I said earlier, when they start directing you towards the ramps onto the freight trains to take you away to the camps, it's too late then.
It's too late at that point.
Yeah, you have to stand up. You have to start questioning authority and say enough is enough. I'm all for security and safety, but studies have shown that these types of things don't work. And if people want to do damage to an airplane, they're going to do it.
And they don't. I don't know of too many cases where the TSA has stopped a potential terrorist.
No, they usually just steal your stuff and are being tried. There was a bunch of TSA agents that were arrested for taking things from people.
I mean, they've gotten lucky a couple of times, but just the other day, I saw a story of a woman got on a plane. When she got off the plane, she realized that she had forgotten to take her handgun out of her carry-on.
Yeah.
Somehow got through the screening
process.
Yeah. She got on the plane. What I thought was weird and stupid on her part was she went up to one of the TSA agents when she arrived and let them know that she had accidentally carried it on and they'd missed it.
And that's when it hit the fan.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't think she had any charges brought up on her because it was embarrassing for the TSA, so they didn't want to make a deal out of it. That's what I thought I saw.
Yeah, maybe. Other times it's not worked out so well. They are charged and they might not be convicted or they might be dropped later, but you end up paying thousands to an attorney for the privilege of being screwed around with. The other thing that's going on with the TSA is they're also, this happened about a year ago, I think it was in Tennessee, I think, where the TSA now is going on to the interstate traffic and inspecting 18-wheelers and pulling people over on the highway and checking stuff. Now, I don't know what the TSA has to do with interstate transport, since their primary purpose is, protecting people at airports and trying to stop things getting onto airplanes. But a lot of these agents are, what do I want to say, GED, educated, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, it's not
$8 an hour, security
guards. It's not really
guards.
a high-level position.
Some of them are not, they're not really police officers.
Right.
They're basically,
luggage inspectors.
Well, they're security guards. They're private,
Sure.
security guards under the authority of the federal government. So I really think it's terrible. There are a lot better ways to screen people. For instance, and Israel does a pretty good job. They haven't had too much problem with airplanes being hijacked. For instance, if they suspect a person might have an explosive device, they don't close the airport down and delay everybody's plane. They take that person into a bombed area, small secured area within the airport, and if it explodes, the damage is minimal, but yet everybody's free to continue to go on their way, and flights get out on time, and there's not this huge panic. I love the other idea where they take liquids. You can't have your bottled water because it might be explosive. But what do they do with it? They take it from you and put it in the garbage can right next to them.
I mean,
So that must be a real threat.
Something that I think Israel does that is controversial, but I completely agree with, is a bit of profiling.
Yeah,
also.
they profile and they ask certain questions.
They don't generally, do a strip search of the 90-year-old lady in
Granny,
a wheelchair,
yeah,
which we have here all the time.
or feeling up children and
Right.
things. Yeah, it actually starts in the parking lot. When you turn into the parking lot, they have security there, and they ask 2 or 3 questions right there. Yeah,
In Israel?
in Israel.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they do their profiling there, and they ask a few questions and how you respond. They're trained to look at facial features. They're trained to sense tension in your voice and so on and so forth.
And it works.
And seems to work. And then they'll, if you pass, then that's the first stage, and then you go in, and there's a couple other stages that go on. But it's traditionally a psychological type thing, and they have some metal detectors and things like that, and
it's not like
explosive detectors.
It's not like Israel is a neutral country that everybody loves. I mean, they have enemies. So.
Right. They have, probably more so than the United States, I would think. Yeah.
At least the
considering they're surrounded by hostile people. At least the United States, the most hostile is Canada and Mexico, and Canada will attack.
Yeah, I think they might. They might.
And what I'm afraid of is zombie Canadians.
Zombie Canadians.
That'll be the worst.
Mounted on moose.
And bear.
They can ride bear in Canada?
Yeah.
Do they do that?
They teach that in elementary school.
Do they? Yeah. Well, it's not a bad skill to have.
No, a bear riding?
No.
Yeah, not many of them come into the Russian circus. They get employment,
okay.
and they do bear wrestling and
they
bear
have a
riding.
lot of polar bears up there, so
They have a few.
Yeah.
That's another issue. But anyways, so the TSA, I don't know if you agree or not out there, but I'm gonna do this for the TSA.
You know what's funny about that is I do believe that airports can opt out of the TSA, at least at some level. I heard, surprisingly, an airport in California, I think, opted out, and they're handling their own security. Now, it's California, so it's probably worse than the TSA.
Well, yeah, they're trying to pass a law that outlaws BB guns and toy guns.
Yeah, or anything. Yeah,
that
anything that resembles a gun, or
a reasonable person could suspect might be a gun.
Yeah, and that's just completely absurd. I mean,
which I suppose could be your index finger and your thumb pointed like a gun. And start chopping hands off. I don't know.
Especially if you put it in your shirt. I mean, people make
concealed
robberies
hand?
like that all the time. Well, I mean, you hold your shirt out so it looks like you have a gun under it, or your coat or whatever in your pocket. I mean, people rob banks like that, so you might be right. They might not allow hands in California shortly here. But
no, I think you're being ridiculous now.
It's California, so I don't really think it is ridiculous.
That's true. You're right.
If I had a big chainsaw, I would help carve it off.
Yeah, some of the things and some of the laws and some of the people there are incredible. It's really a shame that such a beautiful state with such a beautiful country side and the resources they have, the ocean, the mountains, and everything. It's a wonderful, beautiful state. From mountains to valleys and the whole thing. It's too bad it's being ruined by a bunch of weirdos. What do they say? Fruits and nuts.
Fruits and nuts.
The state, they grow a lot of fruit and nuts in California, Nate. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Do they?
Yeah.
The people or the food?
The people. The people do.
Okay, Schwarzenegger's there, right? Well, he was.
Yeah, I don't know where he is now.
But,
yeah. He's not perfect. You see his interview?
Yeah.
He came out.
It is a bit surprising that there are so many technology companies still there making it. With the level of regulation that they have on that stuff. Most of the CEOs of those businesses are big liberals, so maybe that makes sense.
They fit in there, but do they? I'm not familiar with any kind of tax breaks or any kind of incentive they might give those companies to stay there.
No, and in fact, Apple's out there, and most their online sales, they funnel them through a small company that they have in Nevada, so they can get around the taxes. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that businesses have to do, to